This AMA was approved by this guy. The guy with the beard. And everyone knows guys with beards are very trustworthy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with that guy Tony Mo, and we're doing the AMA. We're doing the AMA right now, right here. I want to thank all of you guys for all of the awesome questions you submitted. I went through and I really handpicked the ones that I wanted to answer. Initially, I was going to try and answer as many as I could. That turned into like a 50-minute video, and I was like, this is just not going to happen. So I went through and I really thought about the ones that I really wanted to answer that I thought would be the most enjoyable to talk about and to discuss with you guys, and also that I felt a lot of other people may have been thinking about in the back of their head. So, everyone's gonna have at least one question answered. There's no doubt about that. But if you had multiple questions and I didn't answer them, I'm sorry. Chances are I'm gonna go back and try and answer them through text directly in the comments if I have time. If not, I think you guys will understand, and I think we can do one of these in the future. Totally my fail on this one. I should have just said one question just based on time constraints. You know, that's really the only issue here, is that if you make a 40-minute video, it's not comfortable for anyone to watch, especially if they're actually trying to find out when or where their question got answered. So, thank you guys once again for everyone who submitted a question. I apologize if I don't answer all of them. And would you look at that? I just got a message from Xbox Live with my Gears of War 4 beta code in it. So hell yeah, we're going to be doing some of that later this week. But let's go ahead and kick off this AMA. Also, small face reveal for those of you guys who haven't seen my face in a while. I'm still the wonderful bearded man I once was. Anyways, let's kick it off. We actually have two videos where we're going to be answering questions from. We're going to start with the first video, just running through the comments here. So Alex asks, number one, is this a sort of AMA? Thank you, Alex, because you're the reason that I renamed this to an AMA, because that makes way more sense. It's not a question and answer. It's an ask me anything. So thanks for that one, Alex. Alex asks, your life aspirations as a child? I had to ponder this one for a little bit. You know, when you're a kid, you don't really look too much into the future. You're kind of living in the moment, and you're definitely not really looking into the past. But one of the things that most definitely influenced me, you know, that I aspired as a kid was motorcycles. You know, I grew up on bicycles, motorcycles. I did a lot of things as a kid that most kids probably, you know, at least a lot of the kids that I grew up with didn't do. You know, I shot guns and archery, and I hunted, and that was just my dad, you know. He put a lot of trust in my brother and I, and we never betrayed that trust, and we always respected the things that we were given, and we let him teach us, and therefore he allowed us to do awesome things like riding dirt bikes at the age of 4. So that was a big part of my life as a young kid, you know, in the garage with my dad with the parts cleaner, cleaning the dirt bikes, and, you know, riding them up and down the front of the street, like after we washed them, and changing tires, and, you know, learning about carburetors and how to work on them, learning to ride a bike with a clutch. You know, that was me growing up. And I also grew up watching a lot of that stuff, you know, the AMA, the American Motocross Association, the Dakar, you know, people like Danny Hamill, you know, with the Baja 1000, and like, those are the people that I grew up around. Those are the people that my dad talked about that definitely influenced me. And, you know, as I was riding a motorcycle, I was then influenced by those people in what I was doing with dirt bikes. You know, Doug Henry, Jeremy McGrath at the time was #1 in the AMA series, and my dad and I watching him all the time, going around the house screaming, number one, you know, like, that was my childhood for me. And, you know, my brother too was involved in that, so we grew up around that sort of thing. And a part of me still loves the idea of actual motorcycle racing. You know, I get to ride my motorcycle on the street, but there's a part of me that wants to, you know, that's what I want. You know, people are like, yeah, I want to get wealthy so I can buy a Bugatti. No, I want a couple dirt bikes in the garage, so my brother and I can head down to the trails. We can go to Spain and ride some of the best trails the world has to see. You know, we can take cross-country trips together and just ride bikes together. You know, it was one of the things that we never got to do as kids because we just never had 2 bikes in the family. You know, we had one 50cc dirt bike, and then we had like an 80cc dirt bike with a clutch, but, you know, we never really got to ride together in that sense. You know, we do now on the road, but the idea of going off-road and doing some serious trails riding together, I think that's one of those aspirations as a kid that I had that I still want to have. So motorcycles and racing are definitely something that I want to do, but I've accepted that they'll never be a professional part of my life, but it's something that I definitely want to do regardless. Thank you, Alex, for that. Actually love talking about this stuff. Nostalgia feels all over the place. Let's go ahead and move forward. Hooded Dude, bit of a comedy question here. My question is, if a snowstorm is coming, do you go for the bread or the milk first? The other one could be gone in seconds, so choose wisely. This is Thank you, Hooded. You put a smile on my face when I saw this question a couple weeks ago, and it still puts a smile on my face now thinking about it. For those of you who don't know, here in the Northeast specifically, whenever there's a storm, grocery stores sell out of bread and milk. I worked in grocery for 4 years, actually, and they would go crazy. Oh my god, there's a blizzard coming in Buffalo, where there's always blizzards. I've got to buy the bread and milk. What will I do without the bread and milk? What will we use to power the generator? How will we feed the children if we don't have bread and milk? And it's really like, what are you going to do with bread and milk? If anything, you should be buying water. But I don't know. People are crazy. And there's actually a guy who made a viral video out of that idea of bread and milk, and it's good. It's hilarious. For me, it's more of an idea of I'm just going to play video games and hope that I have off work the next day because of a snowstorm. And then I'll go out and shovel. All-wheel drive, Subaru, fortunately, plow out of the driveway and, call it a day. I'm one of those sane people who was born and raised in the Northeast and can deal with a snowstorm in a very logical and intelligent manner and recognize that bread and milk will not help you survive. Thanks for that, Hoodie Dude. Moving forward, we've got a couple questions from that one Canadian guy. So I'm going to answer two of Canadian's questions straight out because I feel they're very important to talk about. Number one, a lot of people probably want to know, who made your channel art? That's the question he asks. Actually, a really good friend of mine. Sorry he doesn't do like actual art openly. That's not his thing. He's actually a coder/programmer. He's very progressive as well. I've always respected my buddy Matt for this reason. He's just always like, what's the next best thing? How can we evolve this technique? How can we evolve this type of code? This works better for this. He's always messing around with that sort of thing. He's never satisfied. And I respect and love that attitude that he has. It's awesome. But he basically took the idea that I had, which was the silhouette of the FN57 pistol. And I had a very bare bones, idea for my artwork that I already done on my own. And he was like, okay, let's see how we can evolve this. And along the way, he actually took the time to teach me a lot of things about Photoshop. And I think at this point, I could probably go and rebrand my channel. But I just love what he did so much that I don't think I ever would. I've done some small tweaks since then. I've changed like the font and I've, updated the color a little bit, made it a little bit more brighter. Just because I want the channel to have a more vibrant presentation and feel a little less serious. Because I'm still all about having fun, But that was all my buddy Matt for the most part. The logo, entirely his idea. All of the small little details and concepts of that whole entire artwork, all his. He even made the entire intro for the channel. So when you're looking at the intro and you're wondering who made that, that was him with some music from a friend who owed him a favor. So... yeah, I really appreciate him for that. He killed it. Next one from that one Canadian. And I know this is a question that a lot of people are concerned about in one way or another. In your honest opinion, what do you think about Star Citizen? The progress, and do you foresee it realistically releasing anytime soon? Awesome question, dude. There's a lot of people who came here for Star Citizen. If I could apologize to you and go back into the future and change the fact that a lot of you came here for SC, I would. I regret to this day that I spent almost a year of my channel's life covering a game that still isn't out. There's a lot of risks with covering a game like Star Citizen, and honestly, I wouldn't cover it again on a regular basis if you paid me. Because who knows what's going to happen with SC in the future. I think that whole entire studio, that project, is very much in massive flux right now. It may seem like they're making progress, but the fact is they've lost money, they've had layoffs, they've lost producers, several producers, people have left the project. Like, they're trying to overcome way too many obstacles, all while aiming for a really large goal. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't reach for the stars in what you do, but when it comes to game development, I think a lot of people do understand you have to build the game first. And they're spending so much time building all these small resources and individual components that will hopefully eventually one day come together, that it's taking ages. It's taking forever, man. I honestly, at this rate, it's going to take like 10 years for them to even finish Star Citizen. And the problem is there's nothing playable along the way. So right now they have this hardcore fan base, keeping them afloat. And I'm sorry, but I'm not part of that hardcore fan base. I'm not spending thousands of dollars on ships. I bought one package and a $60 ship, and that was it. And that's where I will stay. And I won't really cover the game. I won't play it because there's nothing to play. I think they need a serious director. I think they need someone to really control Chris's project and to say to him, dude, you have to be more reasonable in what you do. We need to make a game. FPS module still isn't out yet. It's nowhere in sight. We've got this, small instance of the procedural universe, which is nothing playable. I won't even talk about performance and the lack of optimization because they're still so early in development. And yeah, people say, well, they can't optimize. They're so early. That's the issue. That's the issue, is that they haven't been able to optimize. They don't have a core. There are so many developers that have killed it in early access, and they know the formula, and the formula is not the way that Star Citizen is doing things. Do I want them to be successful? Yes. Do I wish any bad upon them? No, I don't. I don't want to see them fail. I would never say that I want them to see them fail. I'm not upset about the money I spent. I fully support the $80 that I spent on the experience, and I hope it's put to good use, and that eventually SC is a finished product. You know, and that's that. That's how I feel about it. Like I said, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't have covered it like I did. And I do feel that people who are covering the game right now are taking a massive risk. You're throwing the future of your channel, you're putting the future of your channel in the hands of someone that isn't you. You know, you're taking away that entrepreneurial element of your channel, and you're saying, well, hopefully CIG and team finish Star Citizen, because that's what my channel is riding on. Now, I'm not saying that if Star Citizen failed, those people wouldn't be able to maintain some of their audience, but I've learned a lot in the 4 years that I've been doing YouTube now, and it is difficult to transfer an audience that is very serious about one thing specifically. There you go. Thanks, Canadian. Awesome questions, man. Really appreciate it. Lone Wolf says that he wanted to ask about the straight edge thing. Okay, guys, I'm going to do everyone a favor, including myself, and I'm not going to answer this question in this AMA because it would take me about 30 minutes to talk about. I'm going to do that as a separate video in the coming weeks. It's something that I do feel I should finally talk about. I'm just going to speak as to what it means to me, how it's influenced my life, because it has. You know, me, essentially living a straight edge lifestyle, I guess is the best way to put it. The things that I consider that are important to me regarding that whole thought process, since forever. That's been my life, since day one, essentially. Before I knew what straight edge was, I was living that sort of life. But it's really influenced me in a positive way, and I think it has a lot to do with who I am, the risks that I've taken for something like YouTube, and just overall my creative standpoint on life. I think a lot of that does come from that decision. So it's something I want to talk about in a much larger scale in the future, and we'll leave it at that. I don't look to downplay anyone who doesn't consider the things that I consider in a straight edge lifestyle. But I'm just going to speak my mind about it. And, if you're positively influenced by that, great. But there's nothing in that video that is going to be aimed at downplaying or putting other people down. It's purely about how it's positively affected me and why I made that decision. So look for that in the future, guys. It's something I think I owe you and I owe myself, because it is very much a part of who I am. And again, I think it has a lot to do with why this channel exists and why I'm doing what I do. Moving forward, Devil's Demon, good buddy of mine up in the Great North. What is your favorite game or games of the PlayStation 2 and OG Xbox era? Okay, I'm not going to actually try and take this too seriously because there's way too many games that I can't remember, but I'm going to spit off a few really memorable ones for me. Obviously, Halo 1 and 2. Cell Damage was one of the first games I played on the original Xbox. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. What do we got? MX Unleashed. You guys remember those games? The MX versus ATV series it eventually became? One that they annihilated and ruined. The original game, though, had this amazing combination of sandbox experience, these open world levels where you could have helicopters and airplanes and dirt bikes and monster trucks, so you could have a friend, flying an airplane, and then you could jump over him with the dirt bike. It was mental. It was the best thing ever. Plus, it had amazing motocross and supercross tracks with a system that was influenced directly by a preload system and a clutch. Dude, it was the best possible way to make a motocross game back then, and it still is, but no one's doing it, and it always upsets me. Instead, they've murdered that franchise. They've killed it. It's just a money grab pile of garbage, and I'm so genuinely depressed about that. Somebody bring it back. Bring back the good that was MX Unleashed, and do it with the modern technology. Please. Please. All right. Noah asks a handful of questions across both videos. So I'm going to answer two of them right now. Number one, what's a day in the life of Tony Mo like? So it's not as grand as you might think. A lot of it is focused around YouTube. I mean, that's, it's a consumption of my life, and it's a positive thing. I really love it. But basically, wake up. I try and wake up relatively early, 8 o'clock. Depending on the day and what time I have to go to work, I may or may not make breakfast, and then I'll go right into working on YouTube. And that'll usually take me up into, seriously, the second before I have to leave for work. I'll leave for work, which fortunately for me is only a few minutes away. And then I'll come home, and usually nighttime is either working on stuff that I didn't finish, or it's actually playing the games. Sitting down till 1, 2 in the morning, playing the actual games. getting footage, gathering my opinions and my thoughts on something so I can cover it moving into the future. Okay, so Noah also asks, anything you're especially looking forward to at this point in terms of games, DLC, or heck, even movies or music? So I want to talk outside of the games thing here. I think I talk a lot about what I'm looking forward to in forms of games, Gears of War, and so on and so forth. But in terms of movies and music, I really want to go see Civil War. I actually just saw The Jungle Book, which was phenomenal, by the way. Go see it. Amazing retelling, sort of redo of The Jungle Book. Absolutely awesome. Zootopia, I've really been looking forward to seeing, as well as The Secret Life of Pets, and also Amazing Mythical Beasts and Where to Find Them, the new J.K. Rowling film. I saw an extended trailer for it at the movies the other day. Oh my god, dude, it looks so good. I love J.K. Rowling. My brother and I both do. My brother's a writer, has a very, great respect for her. And I just can't wait for that, dude. It looks phenomenal. Music-wise, a band, Ymir, that I listen to, they're a hardcore band. Frankie Palmera recently lost all of his bandmates. For whatever reason, I don't care. The plain and simple fact is he's still there, still trying to make music, and he's looking to produce some new music very soon that I'm very much looking forward to. I would also love to see some new stuff from Stick to Your Guns, as well as Life Ruiner. They put out an EP. These are kind of all bands that are straight edge oriented. At least Stick to Your Guns and Life Ruiner, not so much Ymir, that are really about the positive outlook on life, things as a whole. And I'm very much looking forward to see what they're doing into the future. Noah also asks if I have any plans on resuming streaming in the future, even though he knows it's a difficult thing to do right now. Without a doubt, Noah, I really want to stream. You don't know how badly I want to stream. I love streaming to death, but right now it is those time constraints. I think I'm going to stop trying to make it a regular thing, until I can leave my day job. So I don't know if that's going to be a year, 2 years from now, but the moment that I can do YouTube full time, you can expect serious streaming from me. Because, why not replace some of the time that I spent at my day job actually streaming? 4 hours a day doing streams seems 100% awesome to me. It's a great way to gather footage as well. I can start streaming the games that I also cover. It'll be super fun, dude. I look forward to it. I think about it every day. Like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, man, I can't wait for the day that I can do YouTube full time so I can stream. Because I love it. It's so much fun. It's awesome sitting there and being able to play games live with people. It's such a ridiculous concept, and I love that it works and that it's so much fun. Thanks, Noah. Awesome questions, dude. Alrighty, let's scroll on down here. Okay, that's it for the first video. Let's make it over to the second video here. I usually make like really nice OneNote setup things for this, but I got lazy and I just kind of left it on the comment section page. I should have done it. It would have been way easier. Anyways, Hi Like Pickles with a side of tomato sauce asks, face reveal? Well, hopefully I did that, so hopefully thumbs up for you, man. Hopefully you like the beard. Also, why did you stop covering Destiny? So really, Destiny is just a matter of there's nothing to play for me right now. It's an old game at this point, and unlike most people, I don't feel the need to pound those MMO-type experiences like The Division and Destiny into the ground. Once the game becomes a grind and I don't have any in-the-moment value, as I mentioned before, I step away. Will I come back to Destiny when they release a proper expansion, not the whole spring update thing? Yeah, hell yeah. There's actually a game to play, and there's a reason to get together with my buddies and have fun. I'll be there. I will be there and ready to rock and roll. You can guarantee that. Death's Messenger asks if I will be playing the Everspace Alpha at the end of the month, and if yes, will I be doing any videos on it? Sadly, dude, Death, I ended up canceling my Kickstarter just before it ended. Sadly, money, automotive problems. I had to spend a lot of money on my car, and yeah, just real life's got to come before games. As much as I really, really, really want to play the Everspace Alpha, that game looks phenomenal. I hope that they do something to potentially allow us to buy into it. If they did, I think that'd be fantastic, and I would probably consider that because I would really like to check it out. If you guys have no idea what Everspace is, do a Google search. It looks like an amazing roguelite space shooter. It looks phenomenal. Really looking forward to it. Fuzzle, my friend. Do you or does your family have a tradition recipe that's super amazing you can share? Preferably dessert, but anything goes. As it turns out, I do. I was really excited when you asked this question. My girlfriend loves to stalk my comments, and she was like, did you see that comment about the dessert? Are you going to share the cheesecake recipe? And I was like, yes. So if you guys look in the description below, I will have the recipe for my mom's recipe, which actually came from her Nana, her great-grandma, for cheesecake. If you love cheesecake, this is straight up cheesecake. Of course, you can add like a raspberry compote or a raspberry reduction to it. I personally love doing something with raspberries or strawberries and sort of just drizzling that over this cheesecake. Honestly, some of the best cheesecake you will ever have. And it's because the crust is phenomenal. The cheesecake is phenomenal. There's a lot of things that go into making cheesecake, though. So it's something you're going to want to consider. I'll try and, the recipe is basically just the recipe. But don't make your cheesecake too thick or too tall, because that makes it overall harder to cool and to maintain. And the other big thing about cheesecake is when you take it out of the oven, it has to get to room temperature before you put it in the fridge to actually cool it down. If you try and chill a cheesecake while it's still too hot, weird chemical reactions happen, because baking is like freaking science, and basically you have a cheesecake molten lava bomb, and it will just rupture the cheesecake and it will be annihilated. So check out the recipe, do some Google searching on how to bake a cheesecake, and then make it for yourself, and it is killer, man. If you like to bake, or if you know someone in your family who bakes, make it a weekend project and let me know what you think of it. I think it's one of the best cheesecakes that I've ever had. When I was growing up, I hated cheesecake. Over the last 3 years, I have become like a cheesecake connoisseur. I absolutely love this stuff to death, man. It is so freaking good. So thanks for that, Fuzzle, and hopefully you guys all enjoy that cheesecake recipe if you decide to give it a go. Austrian Potato asks, how do you feel about the whole feminist thing nowadays? Honestly, I don't really feel anything about it, Austrian. I don't spend too much time really concerning myself with that sort of thing. The problem is the crazy extremist type people in any category. You know, you have the crazy extremist people who, anything, it doesn't matter. Everybody, every sort of thing in life has that crazy group of people. And obviously, they're usually the vocal minority, they speak out, but they're not the majority of people who are sane. I've always just kept the fact that, why do we highlight and focus on the negative? Why do we highlight and focus on these people in the first place? We should just support the positive. I very much do think that a part of our problem is the constant support of the negative. Push those people away, push them to the side, stop talking about them on the news, stop highlighting all the bad just because it gets a click. Now, let's talk about the positive. Let's talk about the great things people are doing in life, and I readily believe that that will influence others to do great things and to be better people. We have to break down these pointless barriers that exist between us as the human race. We forget that we are all humans living on the same planet together. That's what we are. We're human beings. We're all the same freaking thing, man. Why does it matter who someone loves or how someone loves someone? The person they decide to have sex with, the religion they believe in. These are all things that we allow to be barriers. And either we have to get to the point where they don't exist, where religion doesn't exist, and we're all just, on the same level, or we need to accept it. We need to just accept that people are going to believe in what they're going to believe in, and you need to stop trying to tear down others for not believing in what you believe in, or for, there's so many false barriers created amongst the human race because of these things. So I've always, kept the open mind of, man, hey, you do you. We're all human beings, and really at the end of the day, I just want everyone to do great things with their life, to be better people. And I think if we focused on that, and if we constantly push towards influencing people to be great people, that's one step in the right direction to being a better human race. And obviously that's a whole nother detailed discussion, man, but that's really all I have to say about it. Thanks for the question, Austrian. All right, Daniel Fowler asks, what made you Daniel Fowler, I should say, sorry for mispronunciation there, man. What made you decide to start your channel? So the first time that I got an idea, the thought process of like, hey, let's do YouTube, I think was like seeing CNanners and like Hutch. I think they were two of the first like standout people on YouTube that I ever ran into, because at the time I was playing a lot of Modern Warfare. And I saw them, and it was very early days. And a part of me really wishes that I took it seriously and that I spent the money that I was making at my job then, my little job as a young kid, on like a capture card, and I started doing YouTube. But I didn't. I didn't take it seriously enough. I tried doing it with like an off-camera setup, this garbage camera that I had. It was terrible. It was horrific, man. And I wish I had approached it more seriously back then, because I'd probably be a lot farther along than I am now. And the idea that I think I could have built a channel back then that really stood out, that was really doing something different amongst the sea of pretty much just, post commentaries for Call of Duty at the time. But I guess that was kind of an influence, like, hey, this is the thing. Let's make it happen. And about a year or two later, I finally took it seriously, grabbed my first capture device, and things kind of went from there. Thank you, Daniel. Nick Starkiller64 Strange asks, what the hell happened to the Halo content? I was looking forward to your coverage. Some things just don't work out, you know, the way you plan. You really want to cover a game, you pick it up, you're loving it to death. I love Halo 5. I still do. I think the competitive multiplayer, especially the war, like, you know, the straight up 4v4 stuff is phenomenal. Some of the best Halo I've had since Halo 2. I really dig it, but you have to have like a serious group of people to play it with, and then you have to have the time to put into that to make it happen. And it just didn't come together like I wanted it to, and Halo kind of slipped away. It sucks. It really does. You know, I wanted it to be a thing, and I know a lot of you guys wanted it to be a thing, but it didn't end up working out in the end, and that's as simple as it is. You know, I covered it a little bit, made a couple videos, and that's kind of where it just fell off. It's disappointing, but it's just the way it went down. Thanks, Nick. Alrighty, let's see here. We did the one from Noah. I think that's we're closing on the end here, guys. A couple more questions. So Anthony Heathcote asked quite a few questions, actually. I'm gonna go ahead and handpick the one that I really genuinely enjoyed here. And that is, do you feel your speaking abilities can cross-transfer to another area well? Hell yeah, man. I get really caught up in this, actually, sometimes. I don't ever openly mock someone or, you know, like, hey, dude, I could kill you. My commentary... No, I don't do that. But it's definitely something in the back of your head when you're listening to people speak at an event or, like, a public speaking thing, and, you know, they're doing it on a more casual level, and you're just like, man, you know, I would love to do that. Like, I look forward to that kind of thing. I like talking now. And yeah, I guess part of it is you like to hear your own voice. Not really. That's something you definitely have to overcome. I just like speaking. I like being able to portray thoughts and ideas to people in a very clear and concise manner. And I also like getting caught up in my own conversation and sometimes just making a conversation way more dense than it needs to be. Those are all things I enjoy doing, and you know, that's just a part of public speaking, you know? It's definitely a part of it. And so I do, you know, I've already had plenty of situations where what I've done in YouTube and how it's changed my commentary and my speaking abilities has definitely influenced, you know, my regular life. Just my ability to talk to people, you know, at my day job, you know, dealing in retail. It's massively improved because of that. It goes all over the place. All right. Sorry, guys. Bit of a throat clear is necessary there. One more from Anthony Heathcote. Are you a big reader, and if so, what books most inspire you? So, I do like reading. I wish I had more time to read. I wish I made more time to read, I guess is the big thing. When I was growing up, I was really into, like, you know, George Orwell, you know, Clockwork Orange, 1984, Fahrenheit 451, Slaughterhouse-5. You know, I love books like that. I also love a lot of history stuff, World War II stuff, things on Churchill and so on and so forth. Some Tom Clancy books when I was reading up as a kid, I really enjoyed. I think the last thing that I really read that was memorable and that definitely inspired me is The Man in the Sea. It's a very short tale, and it's just, to me, it's the culmination of everything when it comes to perseverance, mental and physical strength as a human being put into this book about this man and the sea. And it's incredible. It's an amazing read. It's a short read, and I strongly recommend you pick it up and read it. And it's one of those things that you should go back and read from time to time again, because as it is just such a simple tale, you know, I think it is a very inspirational and motivational book, and one that I strongly recommend. I love J.K. Rowling stuff. You know, if I had time to sit down and read the massive books that are Harry Potter and anything else she writes, I probably would. And I think it's one of those things I look forward to doing more when I have the free time, when I can leave my day job, is reading. There's no doubt about that. I think reading is, sadly, a dying thing. Just people don't read as much as they do. It's hard to be a writer now, like my brother's trying to do, you know, and that sucks. I think that does suck, 'cause I think reading still is a form of storytelling that is unmatched, because it's something that, you know, is purely powered by your imagination, and that's really freaking special. Alrighty, so last question here. Reppin' the 707 asks, has YouTube inspired you more than you would have thought? Hell yeah. I don't think I thought about it at the time. I think it's one of those things, you don't think about it, you just start doing YouTube and you're progressing and you're changing and you're watching yourself grow, but you're not actually watching yourself grow, it's just happening. And then eventually you start to become conscious of that, and you do really sit there and you recognize, and I think for me this was probably a year ago, where I'm like, damn, my life has changed big time, and for the better, because of YouTube. Not only has it inspired me, it's evolved who I am as an individual, and the way I look at things, and the way I conquer things, and just the person that I am, and the way that I interact with other people as well. You know, the way that I talk to other people, the way that I look to influence other people, just through conversation and through, you know, day-to-day dialogue. Like that, it has inspired me massively. I didn't ever think to myself, will this inspire me? No, but one day, you just recognize that it did, and it feels pretty substantial. And I think that's a great question to end this on. As short as we could possibly make it, 30 minutes. I want to thank all of you guys for all of the questions that you submitted. If you didn't have your question answered, chances are I'm going to be going back over the next several days, whenever I have free time, trying to respond to a lot of those questions just to get the answers out there. As I said, guys, Lone Wolf Straight Edge question I think is very worthy of a substantial video. And it's something that I want to do in the coming weeks, so keep an eye out for that. I'm going to make it happen. And it's going to be exciting. I'm actually looking forward to talking about that with you guys. All in all, it's going to be a fun week, man. I'm going to go download this Gears of War 4 beta so I can start playing the rest of the day. That's pretty much the rest of my day since I have off work is going to be playing Gears 4 beta. So you guys can look forward to some content from that game, possibly tonight, if not tomorrow. I hope you guys have an amazing week. I want to thank all of you once again for 10K, for the support, for watching the content, for loving, what I do, and helping me be able to love what I do more than I already did. And, of course, for making this AMA possible. If you guys have anything you'd just like to say, anything you'd like to shoot my way, feel free to throw it down in that comment section below. Check out that cheesecake recipe. It is wonderful. I'll have it in the description, and I will see you in the next one.